Let's proceed, guys, with the training and coaching cycle. Currently, I want to share with you the closing video. It is a crucial component of our session. Let's bear in mind that the closing we have to achieve needs to be done in a smooth manner, in a way where throughout my presentation I manage to get my client to give me different affirmations or approvals at various points in the presentation, right? Throughout my presentation, when I explained credibility, I asked him, "Do you have any doubts or questions for me?" He told me anything, but always ask him, "How does it make you feel to be in front of a company with these accreditations of ethics and professionalism?" When I explained the money, I asked my client, "Mr. Client, do you believe that this type of insurance with this amount of money can help you if something happens at the time of a death to cover the final expenses?" And he tells me yes. And also, when I explained the Funeral to Marketing Society, the planners who will help those who remain in all funeral planning, looking for 3 funeral homes and 3 cemeteries, and I asked him, "Mr. Client, do you think this type of service can help your children, your grandchildren, the widow, the widower, in terms of funeral planning?" And the client told me yes. So I'm already at the closing. I already did the customer qualification, and I already know what their best plan is. So, in conclusion, I will be working with this sheet of estimated costs. I would like to remind you that this estimated cost sheet will be kept here, in this lovely, professional, and beautiful folder, which the company generously provides to us at no cost, all right? So my loved ones, I am going to place you in that location. How do I go about closing it? How do I make the estimates? Well, I already explained to my client about the money. I already made the assessment. And in the conversation with the client, I know if my client wants a traditional service, or if he wants a cremation, or if he wants to be taken to another country, or if he wants any type of service, and also leave additional money to his beneficiary. I already know what he wants. So based on his preferences, that's how I'm going to input the numbers. For example, in this estimated cost sheet, when we open it, the information on this first sheet is what refers to a traditional burial service. Good, better, and superior plan, everything that can be done with the money to cover a traditional burial. And on the back cover, we can find the estimated cost for a good, better, and superior cremation options available. Let's assume the client says, "No, ma'am, I want a traditional service." All right, great. I'll refer to this sheet of estimated votes for a traditional service. So I'll read it to you, Mr. Customer. We've been talking for a while that the plans range from $1,000 to $20,000 or up to $35,000, depending on if our customer has Social Security, right? Based on that. However, we have 3 estimates. It's best to choose the superior one. For a traditional service, let me read you what can be done with each plan. And I'm going to read them all. Good, better, superior. And any of the 3 includes all the funeral expenses. Which 3, Mr. Clinton? Do you want me to give you the estimate? Clinton puts his finger where he wants. In the good, in the best, wherever he wants, okay? Make me this gentleman in the middle, for example. So I ask him her the age, right? To determine the age, I already know what his plan is, okay? And I will always make sure to provide 3 or 4 estimates for every project. That is extremely important. Let us remember, team, from Alabama to Wyoming, for instance, if we are in the state of Texas, a traditional service of high quality can be accomplished with a total cost of $7,500. Our suggestion is to start with a recommended minimum of $10,000 for your initial investment. 10K, 12K, 14K, estimated room cost $80 or approximately 20K. For what purpose? So that the client possesses sufficient funds and is able to encompass all expenses. I reiterate, where should I start? Considering the services that my client wants to plan for and the initial step they prefer to begin from. Based on that, I provide the estimates for you. Now, if the client informed me that their preference is to arrange a cremation, specifically the higher quality options within the state of Texas, it is possible to have a cremation of good quality at a cost of $1,500. Certainly, what is my occupation? My occupation is to effectively safeguard that client because with our strategy, we are able to provide coverage for the service that the client desires to arrange and also allocate extra funds to cover additional expenses. For instance, credit card debts, for instance, rent or mortgage for 2 or 3 months, for instance, money for bills, for instance, money to be able to pay for a ticket for a child who is in another city, in another country. I mean, not necessarily I have to estimate based on 1.5K, 3.5K, and 8Ks. I am able to have possession of that window because they grant me permission. I am capable of having that window in order to be able to make a higher estimate. Now, you will say, Alejandra, so where do I commence? The recommendation is to commence with a value with an assured sum where the average premium is $60 per month, ensuring a solid starting point for your financial journey. Okay? Listen to this. Where do I start? I am going to start based on an insured sum so that my premium value is at least $60 the first one. $60 the first one, okay? From there I will leave 60, 70, 80 depending. But always here my initial amount must be $60. If suddenly the client says, oh wait a minute ma'am, but why are you giving me an estimate, for example, of $6,000 or $7,000 when it says here that it costs $1,500? Very simple, sir client. The response is, I return and inform him, using this strategy, you have the ability to allocate extra funds for any unexpected expenses, correct? Because extra money is never bad. When money is lacking, there is indeed a serious problem, number one. And secondly, sir, customer, even though you may die today, you may live for a period of 20 years. So suddenly today we can fulfill that service with $3,000, $4,000. But in a few years, it won't be possible to do. The crucial aspect of all this is that you possess sufficient funds so that when that moment arises, your family is adequately ready to handle that unforeseen circumstance. So I return and inform them, my beloved will proceed based on my client's desired arrangements. Provide coverage for natural death, accidental death, and calculate the figures. It is very important, while I am doing the calculations, to have my client watch the Funeral Consumer Garden Society video. That is practically mandatory. Why? For something very easy. Because in that video of Funeral Consumer Garden Society, while the voice is developing, it tells the client everything that is going to happen. Their wishes will be kept in the company until a family member calls. When that moment comes, we will quickly activate ourselves and start working for your family. That is the first thing that the client receives for the second time, the message from the Funeral Consumer Garden Society service. And the second thing is that I'll be calm while making my estimates, not with the client hovering over me, watching what calculations I'll do. So, I have my client watch the video, I perform the calculations, write them in this section, and in this area where it indicates 2018 update, I will enumerate all the benefits that my client qualified for. First benefit, immediate coverage. Okay? If the client rated me immediate coverage. If the client says yes to a health question, meaning that they will qualify me for a modified plan, my first benefit will be immediate coverage for accidental death. Okay, it's the first. Then coverage for dismemberment. If I put 5 units, then it will be the loss of a body part, $2,500. Body loss, 25K, okay? Worldwide coverage, okay? Because the client will be covered inside and outside the United States. Coverage, co-funded Alcohol Super Garden Society. And coverage for terminal illness, 50% if my client qualifies for a plan with a final expense or payable in 20 years. Remember that if the client is modified, they will not have the benefit of terminal illness. But if it's your PIN or final expense, yes, it will have it. So it is important to write down all the benefits here. Why? Because once the video ends, I am already finishing. So, upon completion, I will communicate to you, Mr. Client, stating You specifically requested this plan, for instance. This or whatever. However, I performed 2 or 3 additional calculations in order for you to determine which one is the most suitable for your budget. And I read it to them. This plan offers you, for example, a coverage of $10,000 for natural death and up to $100,000 for accidental death. And we can put this plan into action by making an initial down payment of $60. The words I'm going to utilize are of utmost importance. Let's recall that I am addressing the mind of my valuable client. I'm not going to tell you, Mr. Customer, you're going to start this plan with a payment of $60. Or are you intending to commence this plan by issuing a check? No, that is not the way to proceed. The term is a premium deposit. That word deposit gives my client's mind the indication that it is money that I am going to enter. Okay? No money to take out of pocket. This plan offers $10,000 natural death coverage up to $6,000 for accidents, activated with $60,000 premium deposit. And that is how I explain all the plans I made for him, like I said, 3, 4, or even 5 plans. I read him the advantages because I need to reinforce to my client all the benefits he is eligible for today during our conversation in order to emphasize the significance, okay? And when I read everything to my client, I will simply make it clear to him and say, Mr. Client, with which of those 4 plans do you want to start your coverage today? Or with which of those 4 plans do you want to start your protection today? Message to the mind, protection today, coverage today, okay? And I remain silent. Why? Because I need to give my client time for my client to take the estimate sheet and start analyzing which of the 4 plans is the plan that best fits their pocket, is the plan that best fits their budget. And I stay silent. I have to stay quiet until he makes a decision and he himself puts his finger on the plan that suits him the best possible way. Once I do it, I want to start with this plan. Of course, yes, I'm a customer, how not? Please give me your ID to see how your name is spelled, and it'll tell me who the beneficiaries of your policy are. I mean, the person you want to protect now, it's done. We sold it, okay? That's all.